You know that feeling, right? You spend a whole day cramming, learning something new, and you feel great about it. But then, a day or two later, poof, it's just gone. It's super frustrating, and honestly, it happens to all of us. Well, this exact problem is at the center of this really simple but kind of profound story about a father and his son.
So, the story starts with a son going to his dad, totally fed up. He says, "Look, I read so much every day, but just give it a day or two and my mind is a total blank. I can't remember a single thing." He's doing the work, right? But the knowledge just isn't sticking. It's like his brain is a leaky bucket.
Now, you'd expect a lecture, maybe some study tips, but the father just smiles. And instead of giving him a direct answer, he says, "Come on, let's go for a little tour. I'm going to show you something that'll give you a lesson you'll never forget." I mean, who wouldn't be curious after that? So our lesson today is broken down into these 3 stops. The father's whole lesson isn't about some complex memory trick. Nope, it's all about 3 super simple, everyday observations. He's about to show his son that he actually already knows the answer to his own question.
Okay, so their first stop, it's a busy roadside food stall, what's called the dhaba. You can just imagine it, right? The smell of food cooking, the sounds, and the father points to a guy making fresh chapati, that delicious flatbread on a hot griddle. And the father asks a really simple question. He says, "Hey, look at that cook. Why does he have to keep turning the chapati over and over again?" Seems obvious, but that's the point. And the son's like, "Well, duh, Dad. If he doesn't turn it, it'll burn on one side and be completely useless." Simple, logical. Okay, so that's piece number 1 of the puzzle.
All right, on to the next stop. The father takes his son over to a pan shop. And if you've ever seen one, you know they have these stacks of delicate leaves that have to be kept super fresh, otherwise no one will buy them.
So they're watching the shopkeeper, and every now and then he sprinkles some water on the leaves and kind of shakes them up, turns them over. And again, the father asks the same type of question. Why is he doing that?
And just like before, the son has the answer. He says, to keep them fresh. If he just lets them sit there, they'll start to rot and they'll be worthless. So again, it's this small, repeated action to stop something valuable from being lost. You starting to see the pattern here?
For the third and final stop on this little tour, they end up at a horse yard. And there they see a trainer making the horses run, taking them through their daily exercises.
And you guessed it, here comes the final question from the father. Why does the trainer make those horses run every single day? What's the point of that? The son, probably feeling like an expert now, answers without hesitation. So they don't get lazy and forget how to run properly. And there we have it. The 3 observations are complete. A chapati, some leaves, and a horse. Okay, so let's get to the big reveal. The son is getting a little impatient now. He's like, "Dad, this has been interesting, but can you just please tell me the real answer? How do I actually get better at remembering things?" And the father just smiles. Because the amazing part is, the son is already given the answer himself. Not once, but 3 times.
This is where the father ties it all together with this beautiful, poetic question in Hindi. He asks, why did the chapati burn? Why did the pond leaves rot? Why did the horse stall? And why was the knowledge forgotten? He literally puts the son's problem on the same level as these other 3 things. And the answer to all 4 of those questions is just 2 words in Hindi.
In English, it means it wasn't turned over. That's it. That's the whole lesson. The reason for every single one of those failures, the burned bread, the rotten leaves, the lazy horse, and the forgotten knowledge, it's all the same. A single, crucial action was missed.
Now that Hindi word, parna, is so important here. Yes, it literally means to physically turn something over, but it has this much deeper meaning too. It means to revisit, to repeat, to revise. It's the one simple action that keeps things from being lost.
So the common thread connecting everything becomes crystal clear, right? The chapati has to be turned to cook properly. The leaves have to be turned to stay fresh. The horse needs its daily turn or exercise to stay in shape. And in exactly the same way, our knowledge has to be turned over in our minds, revised, if we want to remember it.
Okay, so the story is great. It gives us the why. But now let's get practical and talk about the how. Because this isn't just a nice little metaphor. The father's wisdom is actually a concrete, actionable method for learning.
Let's break it down into the father's 3 simple steps. Step 1, learn something new. This is like putting the chapati on the hot pan for the first time. Step 2, review it pretty soon after. This is that first, critical turn to keep it from burning. And step 3, repeat that review every so often. That's the constant turning, the shaking of the leaves, the daily run for the horse.
It keeps the knowledge fresh and ready to use.
And I think this completely changes how we should think about forgetting, Having to go back and review something doesn't mean you failed. It's not a sign of weakness. It is the process of learning. It's not a bug in the system, it's the most important feature.
So that leaves us with one last question, a question for you to think about. What piece of knowledge in your life have you let burn? What skill have you allowed to rot? What goal has stalled out on the track? All because, maybe, you just forgot to turn it over?